So before we finish this app, there's one thing that I'd like to talk about. If you recall from the previous videos, one thing that I did in uh, this app is that I've disabled drag and drop from the Kanban board. So I cannot drag a card from new to approved. And this is actually a good thing because I don't want people to be able to approve just by dragging and dropping the card, right? What I want to have is a way to verify if the person approving is the person that should be able to approve and then move the card. And the way that I'm going to do this is with a combination of a button and an automation. And this automation will verify and move the card for me. So I've disabled the drag and drop, and what I want is a button here to approve. And to start things, I'm going to explain the reason why I'm not creating a button here, right? So if we think about a button that's going to run an automation, it's going to use data, right? So it's going to verify the user, the category, the approver, and so on. So if it's something so closely related to data, it's a good sign that actually buttons are created directly in the database. And that's exactly the case. So you can see here that I can create many types of buttons. I can create automation buttons, link buttons, which basically are used to send you to a different website or to a different page. I can have open record buttons, clone record buttons, and so on. So the one that I want here is an automation button. So I want a button in which someone is going to click on it, and it's going to verify if that person who clicked is the approver, and then it's going to move the card if it's the approver. So I'm going to call this button approve. I'm going to give it this check mark icon, and now I'm going to connect to an automation. So the button is created, and now I'm going to set the automation up, and I'm going to add a new automation. And basically the automation is, first I'm going to verify if the person clicking on the button is the correct person. I'm going to go with an if action and error message when clicking on a button. So I'm going to set the conditions. It's only going to move the card if the person clicking on the button is the approver. So first of all, I'm going to search for the approver, and here you go. I can click on the variable, and you can see that the approver is actually on this approver field in categories, and I can use this because of this connection, right? So if the approver is equal to, and then I'm going to use a specific variable that we have in our documents, so you can check on it later. We're going to have other videos explaining it, but basically this variable allows you to check on the person who set off the automation, right? And if the approver is not the person who clicked on the button, I'm going to show an error message. You're not the approver. But if it is the approver, I'm going to move the card to a new stage. So I'm going to select the action move card to a stage, and here on requests it's going to go to stage approved. There you go. So I'm creating this, and I'm going to change directly through the database. Let's see, this one, gas reimbursement, it's going to go back to new. So before we show you guys how this works, I just like to point out the fact that I'm the approver for gas, but I'm not the approver for food. And if I look at the Kanban board, I have one request for gas and one request for food. So I'm going to activate builder mode. I'm going to edit the Kanban board, and now I'm going to add the button approve that I've just created. There you go. So now if I try to approve gas, it's going to go to approved because I'm the approver for gas as a category. But if I try to approve lunch at airport, which is food, it's not going to allow me to. So buttons are very useful for this type of validation. So basically what I did here was disable drag and drop and use a button with an automation to check on things before moving. And there are more applications, but this is one of the more important ones. It's one of the most used ones. So it's one thing to keep in mind, and it's very useful to understand how this works.